So about 18 months ago, as I was continuing to pursue kind of my fitness journey, I started thinking about the idea of just frankly being old, right? And saying, okay, well, I look at it and life is through medical intervention going to help you live longer, right? And like you mentioned, longevity has been a pursuit of many people, right? How to add years to your life. And longevity is made up of two things: lifespan and health span. So, lifespan, simply how long you live, right? And people have been trying to extend that. And some of the ways are expensive, some of the ways are very experimental, and you kind of don't know what you get until like the end, right? So, you can't really tell if it added those 5 years on your life until you're basically dead. So it could be a little hard to pursue for many people. But health span, to me, the other element of it seemed very much something that like you could start now, you could feel now, you could measure now, and ultimately, no matter how long you lived, that quality of life needs to be there, right? So as many people may have experienced, especially recently, you may have an elderly family member that you care about, and they have a bad health scare or an actual chronic problem. Medicine will actually keep you alive pretty long, right? But if that means 10, 20 years of not really living, although you're alive, to me, that's like something that we need to figure out how to solve for with people. And so I started to learn more and more about health span and the pillars that make it up. And I said to myself, all right, this is it. Like, if I can spend some time helping people to understand how to actually unlock their potential and then sustain it for however long they live so that they can be active, doing things, helping other people, I'm going all in. So I couldn't help myself. So, uh, when I think about why I chose HealthSpan, I chose it because it was very concrete, not just aspirational. So HealthSpan, through all the research, is pretty much made up of five pillars, right? They're fitness, nutrition, sleep and recovery, stress management, and social connection and purpose. And if you could touch those five pillars, right, it's not necessary that you go deep in any one of them, but if you can actually kind of balance your life across those five pillars, it's been shown that you will live the healthiest the longest you can. And I gravitated towards that because, first of all, I like concrete and measurable things. And I find that particularly more useful than what we see right now, which is in general, whether it's in hospitality or overall, the concept of wellness, right? Wellness to me is a little too ambiguous. It can be interpreted a little too many ways, which makes it hard to execute on, which makes it hard to like articulate to the right audiences, and thus makes it hard for people to participate in from a both, I'm going to make an investment in this stage, and also I know what I'm getting myself into. So HealthSpan to me seems like a model that is much more useful even in the hospitality setting, right? So if you said, hey, I'm going to make my hotel more wellness centric, I mean, you could be putting a massage table in there. You could be doing anything, a Peloton in there. But if you said, hey, what I want to focus on is this idea of health span, right? And how do I influence it? Well, now you have five very concrete pillars to start lining up actions against, right? You can start to measure it, and you can actually have a more well articulated kind of set of inputs and outputs. And I find that to be super attractive. So I will be pursuing bringing HealthSpan commercial models into the travel industry for those that are currently interested in kind of health and wellness as an area of their business, and seeing how we can transform some of that more concretely to a HealthSpan pursuit. And I'll be building another business of my own as well in HealthSpan.
Well, we might have to have you back on the show to talk about that
Yeah,
when you're ready to talk about it. But I wonder if we could quickly run through each of these elements, and
yeah,
let's think about in, blue sky, blank canvas sort of state. What would you like to see in each of these dimensions? Because I think hotels, resorts, hospitality businesses have this really unique advantage. And I think you've spoken to this before, where people step outside their day to day and they try new things. So you're almost kind of reaching people at a point where you can introduce a new, better way of life. And so let's talk in each of these dimensions, kind of what could that better way of life look like for the hospitality provider that
yeah,
wants to introduce people to this.
yeah. You're right. Look, although people like to think that the best time to make a change is when everything is stable and you feel kind of ready, research shows that the best time to make a change is when there's things actually kind of out of whack, right? And where you've been pattern interrupted already. So you can get a new pattern started, a new habit started when that pattern interruption happens, because it's just easier. Your mind is kind of opt for switching. And so travel is one of those things, right? You're out of your normal routine, you're out of your normal location, and you do have the opportunity to start something new, right? At least to experience something new. And so, I think the simplest way to think through Healthspan, and the thing that would put my maybe my other business out of commission if people just did it, which I'd be happy if they did, is that you can do all of these things for free, right? So that means that you could even facilitate them at a low cost as a hotel, especially if you think of your hotel as a base camp for this traveler, right? So get away from the commoditization that we're a bed and start thinking about it. Well, I am the base camp for this traveler when they're in this area, and I need to understand what they're trying to achieve and help them to achieve it. So, I mean, look, simply in Healthspan fitness, the benefits of walking, right? A long walk, 60-minute walk a day is pretty sufficient for Healthspan. It's just introductory, but that's an area to get into fitness that's completely free and accessible to anybody. And you can facilitate that with nice walking maps of the neighborhood, with maybe suggestions for playlists that they can listen to while they're walking, or podcasts like this one that they can listen to while they're walking, right? Um, then of course you have nutrition. I mean, nutrition could also be done pretty easily. Just eat some more fruits and vegetables rather than meats, right? Everything in balance, it's perfectly fine, but less processed foods. So think about what you're going to feed your guests. Again, not entirely too hard to do from an implementation standpoint, and from a consumer standpoint, it's just different choices to make. It didn't really cost you any money because you were going to feed yourself.
And maybe there's an opportunity, even as something so small as like the like the mini bar, or things that are in the room. Because sometimes I see places with a pretty decent food offering in the restaurant, and then you get to the room and it feels like it's all like M&Ms and
Yeah. It's like the bane of my existence. So I think the mini bar and the terrible choices that are in it is one. And if you think about it, in some cases, the people that are going to go for the mini bar price are also willing to be premium consumers. So if you find the right things in there that are healthy and a premium consumer, you might see mini bar sales go up, especially. But it even goes down to like amenities, right? So I mentioned before, I'm a competitive runner. I travel to places, and everything that you would know about me as your guest, if you were data mining accurately, for my profile, would be that I am going to go running while I'm at your hotel, right? So the thing that you do not want to give me as a VIP who's staying 1 or 2 nights is like a bottle of red wine. Completely useless as a sentiment to me, completely useless as an item to me. 2 bottles of Poland Spring would have saved you a lot of money, and I would have been a very happy man. I would have realized you knew what I was like wanting to do, and we'd all be healthier and better for it. And so would your bottom line, because you weren't giving me a $12 bottle of wine. So it's a little bit of everything, but going back to it, I mean, it's sleep, right? The hotel is places where you sleep. So helping people to get into a good sleep routine, not just having the comfortable mattress, but really what the routine is around how you go to sleep, how you get those right hours of sleep. Similarly, what you can do on stress management, right? There's a lot of opportunity if people just meditated for 15, 20 minutes a day. When they get there, they can start at 1 or 2 minutes. It's not that important. That's another free area of health span that you could achieve. And then social connection and purpose. I mean, the hotel has plenty of space in it and has a lot of different people in it. So if you think about how you use your space to facilitate some social connection, whether that's with the outside community or whether that's within your walls, again, you can have an impact on how people, experience their time in your hotel, and thus contribute to their health span.
I love it. Where can people go to follow you? You had some interesting things cooking. Where can they go to follow you as you're building and on this journey?
So far, mostly it's on LinkedIn, right? I'm actually really enjoying LinkedIn because I have this dual, I love the relationships and I love things that are kind of productive and thought provoking. So I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. If you want to just see me post about random runs, it's on Instagram, but it's not very interesting. It's just what I ran today. But so far the dialogue is definitely on LinkedIn. And I've noticed that there's not a significant amount of dialogue from the health, wellness, health maybe, but fitness and wellness industry, not so much on LinkedIn. So I'm going to try and start to facilitate some of that too. So if you want to share at all what you're doing in health and wellness on LinkedIn, feel free to tag me or interact with me. I think that's the best place right now.